This is Hovey Smith, the Backyard Sportsman, and today we're going to talk about stainless steel chef's knives. I have before me 5 different knives that we have reworked one way or another in the Billy Joe Rubideoux fashion to make them more effective tools than they once were. This is the most radical, which I have put on a stand, an integral stand, so that when you set it down on the table, it is supported above the top of the table. It makes for easier grasp, and we're just going to see how it works. Then we have other knives made of various steels of various thicknesses. This is a Japanese blade. This is a Japanese blade. It is chef mate. This is a Japanese blade. It is trademark chef mate. Heavier steel than any of the rest. This is a really robust knife. Whereas the others are quite flexible. This has some flex, but compared to some of these, not near so much. And we have some different things to cut. Some require a little cutting, some that are going to require a little cutting pressure, some a bit more, and rutabagas, which are going to be the hardest of them all. Now these very thin bladed members are just not going to do well with this. So we're going to use this heavy chef's knife to do the initial cutting on this rutabaga. And it is not liking it at all. That is a heavy, massive root. And yeah, it's sort of cutting on it, but it's not liking it very much. Now, I don't think our lighter weight knives are going to do any better. No, I can't say that this one particularly likes it either. It did cut through somewhat, but we still haven't done the deed. No, even bent it some. Finally, this German steel Hagel blade managed to cut it, but not very convincingly, because it had some pretty severe cuts in it anyway. Okay, well, it got it through fairly well that way. Let's see how our English blade does here. Let's see how our English blade does here. Okay. Now we have one called perfection. Finally. Okay. Go back to our heavier blade again. This one, at least because of its thicker spine, is not near so bad on the hands. And it's cutting through now. This is a serrated blade. Well, of all of these, this Henkel's blade seems to cut best. It's hollow ground a little bit. Well, it is hollow ground, and it didn't manage to break it through. It did manage to break through. So we're going to bring up the camera and take a look on some of the finer details. We have proceeded with our onion chop. This Henkel blade did pretty good. This actually heavier blade here felt like it gave you much more authority in the cut. This one did reasonable, but I don't like this handle here at all. That's just getting in the way. That's going to have to go. This one gave a good chop, and this one okay, but nothing spectacular. We have tested these knives. We have tested these knives on some heavy bulk products, and now we're going to see how they do with a little finesse, where some finer cutting is required. We'll start off with our large one here. I'm taking these Rubideaux's and dicing them up into finer cubes. And as we sort of found before, yeah, that heavy blade seems to work very, very well for that. Okay, we'll take our perfection here. That is really having to work to get down through these. Our English blade. It's sharper, but everything wants to kick off to one side. The thinner blade wants to squirm around on you. Our Henkel blade here. Cuts very easily, very well. Not much energy involved. By far the best, by far the better. The serrated blade knife. You're really sawing through. It doesn't want to give you a good clean cut like this does. that serration takes a lot of energy to work. Perfection again. It really doesn't want to do it. Really doesn't want to. Our English blade again. No. Ankle blade. This is not the difference between sharpness of the blades. This is the difference between the shape of the blades, the shape of the grind, and the thickness of the blades. It's causing this difference here. Yeah. It cuts round and they want to scoot off this way. With our perfection blade, wants a straighter cut, better cut. The Hankel blade, much less energy in the cut. Much better. Our thick chef mate here is a nice straight through cut. Added weight gives it more deliberate, but it will tire you out using this blade all day. I mean, that's heavy. And so we have our stack of celery here. Start off with our big fella. Very nice. Okay. Our English blade. It wants to scoot off this way, which I don't like. Perfection. Doesn't like it much. Hankel's blade. Easiest to cut by far. Beautiful work. The farther the better. Serrated. So saws through. A lot of energy going into it, even though we were working on the smaller stacks. Not near as good as any of the rest. And now we have our meat product, which is a European style sausage. We're going to dice up a link to go with these vegetables in a boil. And this is our English blade. Does well. Our heavy chef's knife. A little much for this use, but certainly does well. Our serrated blade knife wants to tear and saw through the meat. This is why chefs don't use it. That's enough of that one. A Hankel blade. Very smooth, easy cut. Perfection. It's not biting very much on the forward stroke, but is cutting on the back. Just going to have to work on the edge on that one. Hankel cuts well on the forward stroke. Even though this blade was made apparently in Japan, Hankel did take some care with it. I mean, this is obviously a superior quality steel and a grind. So they paid attention to this knife, even though it wasn't made in Germany. Try this one again. Works nearly as well, but still more resistance. Oh, in our test of chef's knives, what we found that this heavy chef's knife was the best for cutting really heavy stuff like these rutabaga roots. And actually in the kitchen I use a small hatchet to break up rutabagas. For the rest of the cutting, yeah, it did good. It has a hollow ground blade, bevel both sides. It cut very well. The Hankel is a clear winner in this, in that it has a lighter weight, a thinner blade, it cuts truer, it cuts straighter, and you don't have the kickoffs to the side that you do with some of the other blades, and a harder, superior, sharper steel. So the Hankel in this test is a clear winner. And the heavy camp chef and the heavy chef mate here, runner-up. We have a clear winner in the case of our chef's knife cutting contest. And that is this Hankel blade here, which we've now remade and shortened the handle. Despite having the shortened grip, this was the better knife. The runner-up was this large, heavy chef's knife. This is about as heavy as you'll ever see a chef's knife. And the runner-up was a chef-made knife, and this is about as heavy a spine as you'll ever see on a chef's knife, or should. It's a heavy knife. It cuts reasonably well. It was the only thing that we had that would really make it through that tough rutabaga root. And our little Billy Joe Rubideoux special here, well, this is the last you're going to see of it. Because I'm going to regrind this handle. It was sexy looking, but an absolute failure. But now, this is Hovey Smith, reminding you to hunt what you eat and eat what you hunt. Be legal, be ethical, be safe. Goodbye, God bless, and see you next time.